This episode of the Managing Madrid Podcast is brought to you by Tempo Times Square Hotel. This stylish hotel is in Times Square, steps from restaurants, shops, and Broadway theaters. A great option for you when you book your stay in New York for El Clasico this summer at MetLife Stadium in August, or whenever you're in New York. Central Park, Radio City Music Hall, Rockefeller Center, and Grand Central Station are within 1 mile. Their outdoor terrace overlooks the heart of the city, and their restaurant also offers iconic NYC views. By the way, we almost have a venue for our New York podcast. Mehdi and I think, are going to do a podcast in New York. So stay tuned, New Yorkers, and we'll keep you updated on that. But for now, much more importantly, big game tomorrow. We're about to preview it live from Wembley. So let's get to it.
Nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there. And worth reading about that man there. Karim Benzema needs to rest, and the numbers reveal why.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First-rate podcast as well. Of course, Fede Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
So I said live from Wembley. What I really meant is Lucas Navarrete is there. As you can see on the screen, he is press row, live from Wembley. Lucas, I'm jealous. I don't know how else to put it. I'm being really honest with you. I'm looking at all your Instagram stories. You're posing with the Champions League trophy. You're eating Sri Lankan food in London. Man, having a blast. I can see it in your face, man. Like you haven't looked this happy in a long time. I can see it in your eyes.
Thank you, Kiyan. Yes, I'm definitely having a good time. These pre-match days here for Champions League finals are always very, very fun. You get to hang around here in the press room, the media room, and all that. So yeah, it's always very fun, even more entertaining maybe than the game itself. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Thanks.
Well, what are the observations so far? What can you tell us about the vibe, the atmosphere?
First of all, it's extremely cloudy as always. It's been cloudy for the last 2 days here, so very British weather so far, and the vibes are great. You can see the players very relaxed, very calm. I don't sense any kind of pressure or tension among the players and among the squad. So yeah, the vibes are great. You can see the players joking around. Courtois got to make an incredible save during the small game between the two teams. And yeah, very, very good vibes among the team, and they seem relaxed and calm, whereas at the same time I think they are quite focused in trying to make sure that they are in the right headspace for tomorrow's final.
No influenza A or B are going around, right? We're good.
What is it, sorry?
They quarantined Lunin successfully. No one sneezing out there.
Yeah, no, everything fine.
Lunin, as Ancelotti confirmed in the press conference today, will arrive in London tomorrow for the game. Hridyam, you've been scouting Dortmund, right? What is your main takeaway from them?
It's a lot of things, but I think it's just their mentality right now. Like they're here in the final without, they were not, according to people, supposed to be in that final, right? They were not favorites to come out of that side of the group, side of the knockout stage into the final. So they have that mentality. You know what? We're here. We're in the final. It's basically Madrid's to lose. So I'm not saying there is no pressure on them, but I think they will play with that chip on their shoulder. You know what? We come this far and we can do it. Like we can go even beyond. And they've been so much better than they have in the league. Their Champions League numbers are, especially defensively, for Hummels and Kobel, their goalkeeper. They've been really, really good, and it's just that defense and those wingers that really, I think, should be looked at if I'm Carlo Ancelotti.
So, yeah, go ahead, Sid.
just briefly, you're like what you said, they're way better in cup competitions. They're a bit like us. I was just reading, like going back to 2021 when they played Man City a couple times when they had Haaland, after they had Haaland, when they had Jude, like they've had a good players, and they do a good job moving between mid block and high press, and like remind you of a certain team maybe. Like they're adaptable, they're flexible, they're not like one way to play. And so I expect it to be a little bit like when Liverpool played Tottenham in 2019, and it was a hard fought final, even though I would argue Liverpool had a much better team. I'm expecting them to like have a bit of our own resilience in the game, to add to basically what Hridyam was saying.
One slight thing to add to that. I haven't seen much of Dortmund this season, and obviously I said they've been better in the Champions League than they have in the league. But one of the games I did watch was the first game between Dortmund and Leverkusen in the league, and I think, if my memory serves me correctly, Dortmund went ahead and they shifted into this low block, which I think Xabi Alonso had a really, really tough time breaking down. Like they had everyone pinned back, everyone was defending for their lives basically, and they can just, as Sid said, they're so versatile, they're so resilient, they can do whatever it takes.
1-1 against Leverkusen, both games, 1-1.
Yeah, they're unbeaten against Leverkusen as well. Yeah.
This is I was thinking a lot about this. It's a unique situation tomorrow for not only like historically, and I know that's crazy to say, but I was telling this to Eduardo like on the podcast a couple of days ago for our members that if you go back, this is the most favored we've been in a Champions League final since Leverkusen, right? Typically, we're either underdogs or we're slight favorites. You know, I would say against Liverpool, we were slight favorites. And that's debatable even.
2 years ago?
Against you, what's that?
2 years ago, you had us as slight favorites.
Yeah, I did. So my opinion on that was maybe different from the consensus, because I think a lot of people would have had Liverpool favorites. The reason I gave us a slight edge is because the classic cliche stuff that it's Real Madrid's competition. You can't rule them out, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But like if you go back to it, like even Juve 2017, I think we were slight favorites, but Juve was by far the best defense we had faced all season up until that point, right? Then you go back to Atletico, never easy twice. You go back to really 2002, I think. And before 2002, we were underdogs in the previous two against Juve and Valencia in both those games. And you have to go all the way back to Partizan to be the last time we were favored in the final. Anyways, long ramble and saying this is the most favored we've been in a final since Leverkusen 2002. But I think it's also unique for this particular season in that I don't know if we have faced a team like Dortmund this season that is a little bit unpredictable, that like us is not really married to a particular football ideology. They'll do whatever it takes to win. If they need to press, they need to press. If they need to go into a low block, they'll go into a low block. I'm not entirely sure how that bodes for us, other than that, obviously, we are the better team. Obviously, we are favorites. And obviously, we're going to probably win this game. But I'd be curious to know where, like Lucas, on a scale of, Lucas is talking to someone. Lucas, are you getting
go
kicked
ahead,
out?
Go ahead, Kiyan. No. I'm just talking to one of my friends here, one of my colleagues.
Okay, say hi for us. Lucas, on a scale of Siddharth Ramsundar optimism, we're going to trash this bum team 800-0, to the other opposite end of the spectrum of negativity. Where are you on the scale?
I would say I'm cautiously optimistic, as long as Real Madrid face this game with the right mentality and mindset, because you have to assume that they will bring it, right? It's a Champions League final. It doesn't get any bigger than this. I have to assume that maybe they would face some kind of relaxation if this game were to happen in the group stage, or maybe even in the round of 16 of the quarterfinals, and Borussia could catch them off guard or whatever. But no, I have to assume that not in a Champions League final. So Real Madrid are the favorites if they take this game in a serious manner and with the right focus and mentality. There's just no other way around it for me. So I'm cautiously optimistic because I trust that the players will get the job done, and in terms of making sure that they are focused and ready to play.
I think there's a small worry. All right, you can go ahead.
I was just gonna say they're a weird team also in the fact that they're actually not very good offensively. They don't have someone who's going to punish you like that superstar offensively. They don't have anyone who scored more than 3 goals in the competition this season. They have labored on offense. Defensively, like us, they've been heroic at times. Their goalkeeper has played out of his mind. Hummels is having a incredible continental season. By the way, I think they can actually punish us on set pieces. Given our set piece defending this season, if I were them, I would seriously look at our set pieces and be like, it's a miracle Real Madrid have only conceded 2 set piece goals in La Liga this season. We can get a free header anytime we want. Let's really maximize those situations. But they also have workhorses in midfield. I've been really impressed with Sabitzer. I think he's actually a little bit underrated when I was looking at his season and some of the numbers and also his performances. His ability to bring the ball up in transition and also defend is going to be key for them. So they do have a lot of heroic things happening defensively and also between the posts, but also I don't really know who's the guy who's going to punish us offensively, and so I don't think they're a team that can necessarily run away with the game in general, but I think it's going to be cagey. I think they're going to try to make it cagey, and if I were them, I think they would have to. I think they'd have to make sure this kind of goes till the end, 0-0, drag it out as much as you can, and try to nick something from a set piece is probably how I think they would approach it. But knowing them and Terzic, they're going to be unpredictable. So you kind of have to be prepared for any scenario.
I think with them, they will find a way to make us work and suffer no matter how. I think there's a chance we suffer no matter what. And because they've had so long to prepare, and just really, I like looking back at Liverpool Tottenham 2019 because Tottenham, because they had so long to prepare, they dominated a lot of that game. But if you remember the opening minutes, since Liverpool got their goal, they just kind of sat back and they were adaptable. They gave Spurs space, let them play. And if we get an early goal, that's what I expect from us. I expect us to let them play. I expect them to come on to us a little bit, make us uncomfortable, but we should defend it. It's just that 1-0, you always need to get the second goal. And for them, their main threat that I don't think will have as much success is Jadon Sancho, especially against PSG. They play such a high line that if you give Sancho too much time on the ball, in transition, if you're so obsessed with winning it back, he's going to get some space. He's going to find space. And I don't think we'll play as high line, but it's just finding that balance. When we're 1-0 up, we sit too deep. They make it 1-1. That's risky. But at 1-0 up, you don't want to play too high line. And I'm like Lucas. I agree that we're going to take the game seriously, which is why I think we'll win. If we were lackadaisical, we could lose to this team easily. They could punish us maybe more than Leipzig, probably better equipped.
Yeah. Just one thing about their attack. I think they have struggled in the attack, but as Sid said, Jadon Sancho is really the biggest threat. And Adeyemi hasn't had his best season, but he's been way more efficient in the Champions League than in the Bundesliga. So I think him, if he starts on the other wing, they are going to focus a lot on the wings. And Sabitzer has kind of from what I've seen anyway, replaced Jude Bellingham in the sense that he's their go-to guy for box-to-box presence. He's been really good this season. I think he can also cause a little bit of trouble, but it's just Hummels, man. Hummels has had literally in so many metrics he's had he's had a career season. He's had career highs in tackles per 90, interceptions per 90, blocks per 90 as well. Clearances is up there as well. He's been very good. And I think part of the reason is that they've conceded a lot of chances in the Bundesliga. They haven't really been that good. But even then, he has been their most consistent player out of, I think, maybe Kobel or Sancho since he's arrived. He's been really good. And I think, he will be motivated to put a shift in again, just like he did against PSG.
So Vinny needs to drop him on the floor is what you're saying.
Yep.
Vinny needs to give him the Kimmich treatment or the Kim treatment. But yeah, Sancho is clearly the guy who, like, you look at or hurt you. And obviously, this is the farewell tour, not only for Reus, but Hummels. This is basically his last dance too. Forgive me for using that overused term, but you look at Hummels. Hridyam brought the career highs in. Check this out. Hummels in the Champions League this season, 65 clearance, the most of anyone in the tournament. 25 interceptions, the most of anyone in the tournament. 31 dribblers tackled, the most of anyone in the tournament. 27 tackles won, the most of anyone in the tournament. 48 tackles full stop, the most of anyone in the tournament. That's the kind of season Hummels is having, this resurgence. And then you go back to the goalkeeping heroics, and Hridyam mentioned Kobel's name. Kobel has overperformed the expected goals against by 6 goals. He has 41 saves in the Champions League, the most of anyone in the tournament. 6 clean sheets, the most of anyone in the tournament. Also, Fulcro, because I mentioned Hummels and maybe his ability to punish us on set pieces. Fulkrug is another one who has won more aerial duels than anyone in the Champions League this season. That's the way I would look at. Again, I'm going back to the aerials and the crosses and the set pieces. I think that's actually where they can really hurt us. Lucas, did anything stand out to you from the press conferences today?
Not really. It was quite a bit of a weird press conference. The UEFA man was the one handling whoever got the chance to ask questions. So most of the regulars, Cope, Radio Nacional, Radio Marca, Onda Cero, didn't have the opportunity to ask Ancelotti a question. They were fuming afterwards because they. Yeah, it had to be fair. It happened this way in Lisbon last time 10 years ago. It seems that UEFA takes care of these press conferences in whenever it's a Champions League final. Juan was sitting alongside the Ancelotti, Nacho, and Modric, but yeah, he wasn't delivering the mic to any journalist. So it was kind of weird, Maybe some of the questions caught the players off guard. But pretty standard thing. Most questions were about the mentality. Well, you obviously caught the press conference, but most questions were about the mentality of the team, avoiding relaxation and all that. But again, not surprises here. Ancelotti and his players and both Nacho and Modric were relaxed and focused and trying to say that they have not taken this game for granted. So yeah, nothing really too surprising in my opinion, at least.
I found the press conference incredibly boring today.
Yeah, same.
I was watching it, and that actually is. I didn't really realize who was asking the question because you couldn't really hear the person talking that well.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
You could hear it, but it was kind of I don't know.
Yeah.
You could hear the responses better. Anyways, what I'm saying, I didn't really focus on that part, but maybe it worked out better. Because the questions were so boring, maybe it was actually, to be quite honest, like boring and no news is generally a good thing for the team. Let's be honest. Like it's not good for our ability to kind of twist it and make it fun, but it's boring is good. No news is good news.
They tried to ask Ancelotti something about Rodrigo, the whole Rodrigo deal, his quotes and all that. That was maybe the only part of the press conference where you could feel some tension. Anyway, obviously it came from a Spanish journalist, obviously.
Yeah.
Do you think it was the matter of the UEFA officer just doesn't know anyone, so he's like, I don't know who are the people who usually ask questions?
He was kind of, or at least felt kind of angry about it also. Like you could feel the Cope guys and the Radio Nacional guys trying to very
putting pressure,
raising their hands like all the time, and he wasn't even looking at them. So yeah, it was kind of weird because they were sitting right alongside some other journalists who got the chance and the opportunity to ask a question, and they weren't even looked at. So yeah, it was kind of weird in that regard. I completely agree with you in this regard. It had no flow. You could feel like definitely Ancelotti and the players tried to take it very seriously and make sure that the right message was delivered.
Wait, are you saying that the provocative journalists were not allowed to ask questions?
No. That's not the case. It was just random. It was just completely random, in my opinion. The ones on the front row were all Spanish. I was sitting on the front row as well. and Cope, Radio Marca, Cadena Ser, Radio Nacional, all of those were together, and he just refused to acknowledge some of the questions that were the guys from Cope and Radio Nacional wanted to ask, and it was kind of weird in that regard, yeah. Because at the same time, Kiyan, you could also feel and you could also see Juan Camilo trying to, acknowledge these guys and say, hey, it's not up to me this time, right? It's and he was also at the same time when by the last 2 questions or 3 questions, you could feel Juan Camilo trying to get the UEFA guy his attention and trying to say, hey, this is enough. Last question here, please. So, yeah, it was kind of strange in this regard. But, yeah.
Now watch everyone, all these guys, they're going to write their articles tomorrow. We need the Super League now more than ever. We can't let UEFA be in charge of these things. We need, I kind of get it, but like the final
I get it. I have
the
to
final.
Get it.
Well, but look, the final has always been different. It doesn't go through the club; it's UEFA who handles it. But
sure.
there probably should be some level of like talking to the Real Madrid guys and be like, so who are the guys? Like,
this is what we were discussing this afterwards, because obviously they were pissed. I mean, the guys from Cope and Radio Nacional, it wasn't that it just bothered them. It actually pissed them off. So we were talking about this. It had to, you have to meet some kind of middle ground here, in my opinion. You have to make sure that this is not a standard Real Madrid press conference which ends in 8, 9, or 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and that's where the UEFA guy should come in, and at the same time, the Real Madrid officer should be the one saying who gets to ask the questions, right? These guys are around in every single home game, away game. They go to the games in Osasuna and they get to ask the questions, and the club is okay with them asking questions at the same time. So it has to be some kind of middle ground, in my opinion, where, UEFA could also say, hey, this is going to be a long press conference, 20, 25 minutes. Some international guys are going to get the chance to ask questions as well. And then the Real Madrid guy and the Real Madrid officer, Juan Camilo, should get the opportunity to say, okay, but I will also take care of the regulars I always take care of, in my opinion.
Just a random thought. Hummels. Someone asked in the chat, is Reus, are they going to do this for Reus? Has Reus even played for a decade now? It's been I feel like I haven't seen him play.
Don't jinx it for a long time, man.
Don't jinx it.
Well, I just mean he hasn't actually played as much. I don't even know.
Don't do this pregame, Sid.
But Hummels. Well, all right, then you'll like what I'm going to say about Hummels. I'm about to praise him. I was just going to say, there were moments when I'd look at some of the impact metrics from the 2010s, and Sergio Ramos was up there, and the other center back that showed really high, unusually high, was actually Mats Hummels, even above some of the others like PK, non-public metrics. And so Hummels' ball playing has always been one of the best for his position, maybe stand out going back to when he was at Dortmund. And, if there's someone I think they do it for, is him. He's really underrated maybe because if you guys remember, he went to Bayern 1 or 2 years when they didn't do anything in the Champions League, and he came right back to Dortmund. I think 2017 to 19 when they lost to us once and they did nothing the year after. Then he was back at Dortmund. So happy for him. He really is good because he's not fast, and I think that's what makes him so interesting. He's so slow, but so good. And respect to Mats Hummels, even if I made fun of Reus there. Remember, also one last thing on Reus. Remember, I wrote the article on Cruz. Remember when Ancelotti said the best German player is Reus after 2014 to not let things get controversial or kind of keep things cool. It's so funny. Now you just be the best German player is Cruz and no one says anything.
Reus, man, look, I'm going to do that thing that podcasters do. Peak Reus, man. You just had to be there. The streets will never forget. The streets will never forget.
Marco Reus was a problem.
Well, he was. It's just been 10 years.
He was a good player, man. Let's not.
He was a good player when healthy. He was a good
player. I don't enjoy.
Put the serious face on. He was a great player when healthy in his peak. Yes.
He will have a very good highlight reel for sure when he retires. But yeah, he was never healthy. That was his issue.
I can't remember. Was it Ansu Fati, Raul, or Reus who last had a good game? It's been. It's just been like a long decade of Royce. I just don't know when he was
Wow,
last.
you're treading on some mighty thin ice here, I think.
Well, I would say this. I love the guy. His athleticism is what made me love him in his prime, and once he lost that, he
great.
wasn't the same.
Yep.
What were you saying, Hridyam? Any anti-jinxes? Or y'all get your turn for your anti-jinxes now. I did enough.
What if I tell you that I touched the Champions League trophy now?
What does that mean? That's the first time a Managing Madrid staff member has ever touched the Champions League.
No, I didn't touch it. Not that I care much about touching a trophy or whatever. I just didn't. I to be honest, there were some UEFA officers around, and I just.
It's ours anyway.
You couldn't touch it, so yeah.
And it's ours anyways. You could just lay your hands, be like, "It's Real Madrid." Like, put your Managing Madrid credentials. Oh, all right, Real Madrid, stay away. Any other club, like you haven't won over 10, you don't get to do it.
I feel like I've seen journalists touch it before, but I don't know if that's just my mind playing tricks on me. I feel like I've seen it happen, but I don't know. It doesn't matter. You guys want to know what peak Marco Reus actually was? I think it was 2013-2014 season. He was first in the Bundesliga in assists. This season, 6 goals in 26 games domestically and 2 goals in the Champions League. All right, so I normally don't, like, if Sid and I were just talking in a bar, like, I would have no issue with what he's saying. But since this is being broadcasted to hundreds of millions of people worldwide, if not billions, I will not sign up for this. I think Marco Reus is due for a hat trick tomorrow, is what I think. I have a lot of respect for him. Mats Hummels, I've always liked Hummels. I don't know what it is about him.
Same.
I just think he's a very cerebral player. I just like the way he carries himself. I think he's that year they won the World Cup, he was awesome.
Old school guy, yeah.
Yeah. And he's having a great year. So yeah.
It's those Dortmund guys are really like getting their renaissance, huh? Like you go, Götze is the only one who kind of burned out, but Gundogan got his ring last year after all these years. You get Lewandowski has had a good.
I love how you call it a ring. Like people already hate us for basically turning this into an NBA podcast. Now you're calling the Champions League trophy a ring.
Well, it's just like a funny way. Like you got to get a ring before you're taken seriously. But anyways, Hummels has his chance. I mean, it's funny. It's a bit like a decade ago where you had Hummels shining, Carlo reaching Champions League final at Real Madrid, and like 10 years later, 3 years ago, if you said like Hummels versus Carlo at Real Madrid, it would have been so funny. No one would have believed you. Like Dortmund in the final with Sancho after he left the United for 70 million, that would have been the funniest thing.
We have a super chat. Let's take that quickly. Prexina says, I predicted we would be here this year. Thanks for all the content this season. One of the best years as a member. Let's manifest a win and great post-game show. See you on the other side. Hala Madrid. I love that. I love the energy. We're doing we're roping Lucas into this. So tomorrow before the game, 1 hour before the game, we're hopping live on YouTube, and Lucas is going to be sitting press row, and we'll have the starting lineups by then. Not that I think is going to be a surprise anyway, but we'll have, both sets of starting lineups, and we'll talk about pregame stuff. And we're doing it. Lucas, I'm putting you on the spot. Do you think you can hop on the post-game podcast for like 5 minutes after? Just for 5 minutes?
Yeah, possibly.
If we win,
will it be immediately
go
after the final whistle?
Yeah.
All right.
Because you'll have like 5 minutes to spare if we win.
Yeah, sure.
Just turn your camera around, show us what's going on. It'll be crazy, probably. Yeah.
Wait, I don't need to rush to the press conference room. It's pretty nearby, and assuming there's a trophy celebration and all that, it will take quite a while for the players to get there. So no problem.
Wait, it's only a jinx if I make fun of Dortmund, but you guys can plan for the whole celebration.
True.
Do you notice it? How I said the word "if" like 10 times? To be sure, it's not a definitive statement.
By the way, guys, it's not going to happen. But we had some thoughts here in the press conference room. What happens if something happens to Courtois during the game? Who plays? Lunin has been missing training for the last 5-6 days.
Oh, it's going to be Lunin.
I don't know.
He's better now.
Well, he's not doing that great considering he wasn't here today.
He trained alone.
I don't
Well, he
know.
trained alone. The question
Yeah,
is,
well, that you don't train alone efficiently. I don't think.
Okay, but a flu is different from an injury.
Look, man.
I've played well under a flu
Look.
before. You can
Hold
do
on.
it. If I can do it, if Michael Jordan can do it,
I
Lunin can
don't.
do it.
I will just say I don't entirely buy the whole flu thing. I'll leave it at.
No,
I'll leave
this
it there.
that
no, you
conspiracy is
can't. Be
too far.
fair.
You can't just invent a flu
No,
because
no,
you
no,
don't
no,
want to
no,
play him.
no. I don't think that's the case. I
Okay.
think maybe he has something more serious than a flu. I don't know. What could be more serious than a flu? Maybe COVID. I don't know.
Influenza though, like straight, like not like a light cold, like straight up influenza testing positive.
I don't know. I have no idea. COVID would be serious enough, I guess, for Real Madrid to try to. I mean, and this is just obviously a theory. I don't think you miss the plane and the whole trip because of the flu, man. And
If
you
you're the
miss
only guy sneezing,
5 or 6 days of training. I don't see it.
I just think if you're the only guy sneezing, I would agree in many scenarios, but the whole team's not sneezing or coughing. If you sneeze or cough and the only guy, I get it. But okay, I was just curious if you had anything more because you sounded like
No,
you
I
had
don't. I
real
really
juicy
don't.
stuff.
I really don't. But this is something we discussed among the journalists in the press area as well. Like we all raised our eyebrows when the whole Lunin situation was mentioned. And again, I think it's a fair argument to entertain if something happens to Courtois, and which obviously I'm not knock on wood, nothing will happen to him during the game. I think it's fair to ask yourself the question that maybe Kepa is the one playing tomorrow off the bench if that happens.
Oh no! Just bring up someone from Castilla at that point and just give him a
No,
chance.
I think just
Oh, no.
just to be very short, I think Lunin will be here for morale only tomorrow. I don't even think he will. Well, Ancelotti actually said he'll be on the bench, but I'm not sure if he will be, part of the proper squad. I'm not sure.
Well, you can recover from the flu and be asymptomatic, but still be able to spread the virus. So I think this is probably part of the reason they were separated. And so I don't know if he's going to be 100% tomorrow. But look,
You
this
miss
is-
training 5 days with the flu, man.
Well,
I
you
don't-
sneeze Monday, and then you don't want to like risk it getting to anyone by Saturday. So like by the time it's Wednesday, if you sneeze Monday, you're still separate from the team. That's the way I see it.
To me, this is unheard of. It's just really that simple. That a player would miss almost an entire week of training ahead of a Champions League final with the flu. It's just that
all I'm
simple.
saying
It's
is,
unheard
it's
of.
like if there's a 1% chance that you're recovered, but you can still spread the virus, and the biggest game of the season is in like a few days, why
Sure.
risk it?
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think it's also fair to ask yourself, again, someone needs to come off the bench. Lunin has missed training for the last 5 or 6 days. He doesn't know what saving a shot from a professional football player is for the last 5 or 6 days. Whereas Kepa has played today, he has been vocal. He
5-6 days. It's not like 5-6 months, bro.
It's-
Sometimes you go five,
It's
6 days
important for a
without playing.
goalkeeper, though.
I mean, there's one thing. Like the last time this happened in such a big game, I think it was the World Cup final. Giroud, Dembele, and a few others were that flew or something, and they got subbed off in the 30th minute because they were so shit.
Oh, and they were cooked physically. They were cooked in
Yeah.
that final. France, for sure. That is
That's all I'm
interesting.
saying.
Can we stop talking about Courtois getting injured tomorrow?
No,
Let's
yeah,
start
yeah,
there.
it's not going
Let's
to
stop.
happen. He
Let's talk about
made an
Vinny dropping Hummels.
incredible save, Courtois, during the small friendly game. To the incredible hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, as optimistic as I was against City and Bayern, I'm more cautious, I'm equally cautious against this team for what it's worth. Like I feel like it's just it's just going to be a cagey game, like everyone's saying. I'm just equally cautious for what it's worth. I'm not in the jinxing mold. I expect like a 1-0 win. I don't think we'll like punch them or anything. Like I said against City, I don't want them to fight. Like I don't hate Dortmund that way. It's not an ideological war. I guess maybe there's less emotions in it, and it's just a lot more logical, which is good, but it's just tricky. And I think it's important. I'll put it this way. I've considered the scenario where you don't win the final. I don't think we should look at our season any differently. And I agree with Carlo about that. He said that in the press conference. I agree fully. It's like if they black magic their way to a win, does that change how good our season is? I'm at the moment where I say no. I don't think the result tomorrow changes my look on the season.
I agree with this. in part because I think
come on, guys. You cannot lose the final against Dortmund.
No, nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that. What I'm saying is that I think sometimes as sports fans, we tend to look at everything a failure unless you're the absolute champion at the end. And I think it's good to have that standard. Don't get me wrong. I think it's important to have that standard. It's why we are as successful as we are. But I am agreeing with Sid in the sense that if you run into a situation tomorrow where you play your heart out, you play a good game, you just have some freak luck, and it just
okay.
That's what I'm saying.
If that's the context, I would agree. Yeah, if obviously you fail to score in 4 big key opportunities, and Dortmund find a very late goal of a corner kick, you tip your hat and be done with it. Yeah, for sure.
We still beat City. We'll always have that, guys. We still beat them. We clowned on them.
Let's take another super chat. Mr. Sushi22 says, thoughts on the Militao rumor. I think he'll get some time. Do you think he'll get some time tomorrow? Also, I agree with Lucas on Lunin. Jude was sick and it took him a month to be better. What's the Militao rumor?
I'm not familiar with the Militao rumor, but along with a couple of journalists here in the press conference room, we were all sure that Nacho was going to start. And I don't know if you guys caught this in the press conference, but Nacho was asked, "Hey, you might not know this just yet. We don't know if whether or not you're going to start tomorrow or not. But how do you feel about starting tomorrow?" When he basically went with it and said, "I'm very excited with the opportunity. This is what a Real Madrid player lives for." So yeah, it's not like he said, "Oh, I don't know if I'm going to start. I'm just here to help the team," or whatever. He pretty much assumed that he's going to start. So yeah,
I mean, I don't think there's ever been a case of a Real Madrid player appearing in the press conference day before a Champions League game and not starting.
No, that's not what I'm saying. He could have. If he's not going to start, or if he doesn't know whether or not
I
he's
know.
going to
What
start,
I'm saying is it
he
was
would
a
have
dumb
said,
question.
"Oh, I don't know."
He's obviously starting. He's obviously starting.
Yeah,
there's no question.
I think
Militao ain't ready. He's not ready.
Yeah, I think the only way he gets minutes is if Madrid are 1-0 up in the 90th minute and they need someone to clear the ball off the.
Or if someone gets in
set pieces. Yeah.
Lucas,
what is the point here about the Jude was sick? It took him a month to be better. How does that tie in? I'm trying to understand. Oh, you're saying essentially it's worse. Okay, yeah, he's essentially saying it's pretty bad. It's not just some simple flu like Lucas is implying.
I don't know. I think he's saying that if someone needs to play off the bench as a goalkeeper tomorrow, he's saying don't trust Lunin because these things are hard to recover from. I also have to make the point that it's not the same to be a midfielder than a goalkeeper. So if he's recovered and he's feeling all right, he should not have any kind of symptoms or difficulties to stay in proper shape during the game, I think.
Yeah, the cardio difference is really big, right?
Sure.
It's huge. Man, I feel like Kiyan and I could go and we may not make all the all of us, but we would fit the fitness roles for a goalie. We'd be able to stand. Midfielder, I'd be dead after 15 minutes, man. They'd have to wheel me off.
That's the rumor here in the new super chat, right, Kiyan? I guess I haven't heard anything from it. So
the Mr. Sushi clarifies the Militao rumor, which is he'll be sold to allow Tchouaméni and Jude to drop back and fit in Rodrigo as a 10. I think this is a hard pass. Yeah, this is beyond rumor. This is just bullshit. I couldn't find the word to use. This is not even to be entertained. Nehemi Balukidi says Kylian Mbappe joined the chat. Okay.
He has been here many times before, for what it's worth. And his mom and his brother.
Why not? You're probably the richest footballer in the world these days. Just send us a super chat, Mbappe. Yep. Give us a super chat. Give us what is 1/100th of your net worth? Just
of your sign-on bonus from PSG. Send us a little bit.
Yeah.
The loyalty.
It's all paid for by Taylor Swift anyway. Just send us something. Just send us a bone. Lucas, how was the catering today? Any catering?
Just sandwiches, man.
Oh,
at least there was food. Yeah, sure. Cold sandwiches is not very exciting. I'm actually looking forward to getting some proper food now on my way to the hotel or whatever.
No fire Sri Lankan food at Wembley.
No, man, that Sri Lankan food was crazy. Anyway, you can definitely feel that the British people treat lunch not very seriously, just a few cold sandwiches and that's it.
But the important caveat here is that this is UEFA's fault, because UEFA's in charge, right? If you were in London at Stamford Bridge or Wembley and Tottenham, like Tottenham was in charge, they'd probably give you a nice spread.
I think I heard the guy in charge of the whole catering thing saying that for tomorrow during the game there will be hot pies. I honestly don't know what that is, but yeah, we'll see.
To be fair to like English stadiums, they usually give out good food. I've been to two of them, and I had like a lasagna once. And
Manchester City was wonderful in 2015, and I think Kiyan has good thoughts from Manchester City as well. So yeah, I'm sure maybe they will surprise me tomorrow during the game. So yeah, those hot pies though, I don't even know what that is. So we'll see.
It's probably not like mini pot pies, is my guess.
All right. We'll see. I have no idea, really.
I'm sure it'll be better than Montjuic and Camp Nou, where they cut back on ingredients to finance like another player. They probably give you cheapest salt, like some moldy little salt they find from somewhere, so they can save for Frankie De Jong's extension.
I was going to make a joke about Laporta and his catering, but with me being overweight as well, maybe I should keep it to myself.
Well,
Lucas, you're not Laporta level, bro. Come on.
Oh well, yeah, I know that. Thanks.
Laporta probably gets all the good food for himself, all the expensive food, and then
keeps it to himself.
All the cheap stuff goes out to the audience so they can sign Frankie De Jong.
Can we do 10-second segment on Sri Lankan food? Because I've been trying to tell people this for years and years. I have a Sri Lankan aunt.
Oh,
there is no food on the planet that compares to that. Like, it's unreal, and it's a lot of coconut because they just a lot of coconut, a lot of spicy food. Like it's unreal. What did you have?
Whoa, the names. Hold on, I think I sent my cousin a picture of the menu.
Okay.
Give me just 10 seconds. Here it is. I had, first of all, banana chips as a starter. Then I had something called mutton roll. No idea what that is.
Yeah.
A mutton roll?
Yeah. Mutton.
That hot sauce, it was served with hot sauce and it was quite spicy, but I really liked it. Then hot butter squid.
Okay.
Really, really great too.
You had all of these things?
Yeah, it was in very small dishes. It was quite like, I don't know how you call this in English. It was quite menú degustación, where you can try like most of the things in the restaurant. It was quite, if you're undecided on what to have, that's the way to go, I was told. And smaller samples of the dishes, really. Then one of my favorites, bone marrow baruval. It was bone marrow, and it was, very exotic and very. But my favorite was probably lamb kotu roti. That was quite amazing. Yeah. And then a hopper also. I had a hopper.
Damn, you had the entire slate in one sitting.
Looks like crazy. It has. This restaurant has great reviews on Google, and one friend of mine who was here a few years ago recommended me the place when he saw that I was in London. And definitely a success. It's called, free advertising here, but who cares? It's called Hoppers in the Soho. So yeah, it was great.
That's fire. So you're going back if we win?
No, I don't think so. If we
Thai or Indian instead, huh? If we win.
No, I will have to go to the airport on Sunday. So yeah, just basically no time for me to repeat.
Long story short, if you got a high-rated Sri Lankan restaurant in your neighborhood, go check it out.
Yep.
Go check it out.
Yep.
Let's bring this back.
I would extend that to all Sri Lankan, Thai, and Indian. I believe, and even Bangladesh.
Indians.
I think Southeast Asia has just got something going. It's always funny when someone's like, I just went to like a Thai restaurant for the first time, blew my mind. I'm like, oh, like welcome to every day. But just a thought. But I hope you all celebrate if we win.
There you go. Progress. Rajan Makwana says, what do you think Dortmund's biggest play threat is?
You guys go ahead.
Why don't you start with this one and I'll jump in?
Me?
Yeah, okay. If I put you on the spot, I can just jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I think really it's usually set pieces and transitions. Like they're very good at transitions. I think Carlo pointed it out in one of his earlier press conferences. I'm not sure if he did it today, but he said that they're very good in transitions and we need to control them very well. And I agree. I think the pace they have on the wings and Sanchez is a really good dribbler, and I think he will give Mendy some problems. I mean, I'm not saying Mendy will lose that duel, but I'm just saying that will be a tough matchup. And Adeyemi on the other side is very, very quick as well. Füllkrug is also very I think he's smart off the ball. He moves a lot. He's not stationary. I think that's what that's what he does basically. And yeah, the entire team is very good in set pieces. Although they've scored, I think they've scored like 9 or 10 goals from set pieces this season. But I'm not sure how much that counts of the entire number of goals they scored. But yeah, they've been very good.
Is Schlotterbeck
Sorry?
Is Schlotterbeck good? Just a random question. How good is he? Is he like a German starter level now, or how's he?
I'm not too sure, but I think he has improved a lot this season. Playing with Hummels has helped a lot. I was reading an article from the SB Nation side of Borussia Dortmund. I'm not sure what the name is.
Fear the wall.
Yeah. They pointed out that Schlotterbeck has been very good this season. And I think the partnership with Hummels, and Hummels being such a vocal leader and just like a leader by example, has helped Schlotterbeck as well, because he didn't really have the best seasons last time around. But I think this time he has improved from what I've seen and from what I've read.
Yeah, Schlotterbeck got called up for Germany really fast, and I would just say look for mid block and set pieces, but Brandt and Sancho to Füllkrug is probably the move they do the most. Like some sort of triangle between Brandt and Sancho leading to a layoff to Füllkrug. It's not as fast as Bayern. It's a little different, but it's still dangerous. It's still very direct. Like Kane would drop and they would go from wide, whereas in this team, going to be very central. Just a very traditional counterattacking team in that sense, with some link-up play.
Yeah, this question of what do you think Dortmund's biggest play threat is, in some ways is kind of hard to answer, in part because I don't know if they're elite at anything, but they're very good at a bunch of things. That in part, I think, is why they've been successful in Europe. Like they can press and counter press. They can go into a low block and they can play in transitions. The set pieces one is the one that I had highlighted at the very top of things that I would be worried about with them attacking our defense on set pieces. The one something that I think they're very good at watching them play is like they have good build-up sequences. They have good passing triangles. They have fluid movement to get the ball up the field. But I've noticed that their transition attacks are actually very quick and they can rush a lot of players in a very short time span. They can go from a deep block to 4 or 5 players joining the attack the other way in a very short amount of time. And I think Sabitzer and Sancho are the 2 players in particular that are very dangerous in just getting the ball up the field in transition, whether it's through ball carrying or passing. But those 2 in particular in transition I'd look at, and they have the ability to get numbers up the field very quickly. So I would say if they're going to hurt us tomorrow, it's through those 2 avenues. It's set pieces and transition attacks. And I think based on, Carlo didn't mention set pieces. He mentioned transitions today. Quite honestly, I don't even know if the set piece coaching god, whoever that is, if he exists, could save our set piece defending anyway. But certainly I think we'd have to look at defending in transition and make sure that we zip that up. Spring in another super chat. I think we'll do one more. And then we'll let Lucas get back to his hotel. Mr. Sushi says, Laporta just stress eating because he and Barca are cooked. Diego said something that I thought was hilarious on the Churros podcast. but he actually said it in a very serious tone. And then when I laughed, he didn't really like laugh with me. But he said that, he was like, because I was telling him like Laporta really kind of fall from grace. Before in his first tenure, he was very good, and Barca fans really revered him. And in the second one, he's kind of like fallen off a cliff. And Diego was like, yeah, when we get older as men, we get in touch with our feminine side more, and we are not as driven as we used to be, and we make worse decisions, and we start eating and we get fat, and I started laughing. I was like, yeah, he needs to get on the TRT and get some testosterone. But Diego was like literally giving like a scientific explanation as to why Laporta is not as good as the president as he used to be, because he's just I don't know, maybe losing testosterone or what it is. So I thought it was funny.
What about Florentino? He just like ages like wine. Meanwhile, Laporta is like a different species of human or something.
But this is actually, there's something in the water in Barcelona and something in the water in Madrid that whatever it is, their figures just age worse than ours. Modric and Xavi, Suarez, Benzema, Laporta, Florentino, we just age better. I don't know what it is. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, and they let go of the ones who age well, like Messi, because they can't afford to keep him. But yeah, that's interesting. Laporta stress eating. He's just become such a meme this last week to all of us, like these last couple of weeks. And yeah, what a sorry club.
What do we miss, guys? Do we miss anything?
Lastly, Ryerson at Dortmund. Apparently, he's not the best right back defensively. So we could be in for a nice grill and chill sesh, guys, with Vinny. Get the cuts going, salt and pepper. Get that little oil spray. Like Valverde is gonna have a whole cookout with Vinny right on the pitch, man. But that's what they say. They say Ryerson actually can't handle him. That's what
I'm laughing not because of what you said, but because your hilarious laugh after the fact that you said it, like this evil laugh, as if you want us to be Jinx, man. Just lay off it for a bit.
And also, Mr. Sushi was saying in the thing that like this Schlotterbeck's like an idiot and he's gonna get into a fight with Vinny or something. So if that's two of them, I mean, I would just love to see like a fight, Vinny dancing when we score a goal, like, just everything in the last couple of years of Real Madrid, all the Vinny hate come into full circle. But yeah, Ryerson, like, he may not fare better than Kimmich, definitely not as good as like a Kyle Walker. So like, it's not, some Champions League ties you go up against teams with a good right back. Other ties you go up against teams with like a Kimmich who hasn't played right back for that many years, so he gets torched, or like Ryerson, who's not that good. Hridyam, have you heard about Ryerson not being as good too, or is that just me or any of you guys?
I'm not too sure, to be honest.
I just saw tweets going around like Ryerson against Vinny, man, they're toast. Like people were praying for him. That was my last thing on them. Like, I think that might be their weakest spot on the pitch. They might be like pretty solid everywhere else.
I mean, I have heard about, not him, but I've heard Ian Maatsen is very good. He's been pretty good for them. He's on loan from Chelsea, I think. They've been raving about him all the time. Both Chelsea fans and Dortmund fans, I think. And Dortmund want to keep him, but I don't think they will be able to. But I think he's a good left back. He's been very good. Rodrigo, I'm not sure how good he is offensively. I haven't seen much of him, but yeah, he is someone to look out for. I think he's more of a passer than a defender, because he's not averaging that many defensive stats, but his passing is very good. He attempts a lot of passes. He has a lot of progressive passes, 5.5 per 90, which is like the 88th percentile for fullbacks. So I think he's more of an on-ball left back than he is a defensive one. So I think that's important.
He's been very gifted for sure. And lastly, our goalie, just for context on how crazy their goalie is, Lunin. So he normalized this year. There were points this season when Lunin was definitively above Courtois' like better seasons, which was crazy statistically, just post-shot XG. But by the end of the year, he's at plus 0.2 for the season, above expectation per 90. So like plus 0.2 goals, like 2.2 goals conceded below expectation. Courtois, he was at 0.55 in last year's Champions League, 0.12 in last year's league. 2 years ago, he was at plus 0.15 in the league, plus 0.35. Kobel this year in the Champions League is plus 0.6 is my point. So better than Courtois last year. And Kobel actually only played like 3.5 90s in the Champions League last year, but he was a +1. Like he conceded like one fewer expected goal than expected goals per 90. So he just has some black magic to him. I just want to put it out there. Like he might be their biggest, scariest play. Like one as they were asking, he might be one like just the goalie black magic. He might go off. I'm looking forward to scoring against him.
Him and Hummels are literally two of the main reasons they've gotten this far.
Yeah. It's not really their attack that's got them this far. I think they score less, but they concede even less. They're 13th in goals per game in the Champions League and 22nd in expected goals per game. But their defense is what's been keeping them in.
Yeah. Their expected goals this season in the tournament, just to give you a perspective, is do you say 22nd? I think that's a
expected
little bit.
Goals 22nd from what I saw. XG, yeah.
I don't know if that's accurate.
1 sec.
I think they're at 15 expected goals, which puts them at should put them at 8th or so. Now, expected goals per 90 could be different because obviously part of the reason why their expected goals are higher is because they got a little bit further than some of the other teams in this competition, but it's higher than Arsenal, Leipzig, Porto. Yeah.
Just really quick, I need to head out. They're clearing this area for
all right, Lucas,
before Dortmund head out or for whatever reason. So yeah.
We know that you're not actually getting kicked out. You're just sick of hearing Sid's jinxes. We understand.
No, for real. They've been for the last 5 minutes. Hey, we need to clear this out before Dortmund head out for the training session. So,
all right, bro. Enjoy the night. We'll see you tomorrow before the game.
Yes, sir. I need you to hide and get the footage over to Florentino and the team of Dortmund training session. All right. I know that's what you're.
I'll be. I mean, for whatever reason, they are allowing us to come back in like 15 minutes. So I don't know.
Oh, have the Dortmund press conferences already happened?
Yeah. It's starting right now. So,
oh, okay. Go.
Okay, guys.
Peace. All right, bro.
Talk to you tomorrow. Yes, sir.
And people were just asking in the comments, just to clarify for them, they gave up 3 expected goals against PSG in the second leg and got away with it, which is funny. And even though they weren't like great, like Mbappe, like in behind chances, they were still good enough for them to go and score 1 or 2. And those were not added to but those don't count. Like if you hit the post, it doesn't get added to post-shot expected goals, I believe. I believe post-shot expected goals only accounts for shots on target for whoever was asking. Just a thought. So this is just from shots that have gone towards the goal. He's saved. He's going crazy. It's not just like the shots PSG missed getting added into that.
Okay, so guys, I actually wanted to go and watch the Dortmund pressers too, and I think we covered it all. If you joined late, go watch in the beginning. One super chat really quick that just came in. Somnath Bose says, worried about Rodrigo's finishing. Even his City goal at the Etihad, the first shot was directed straight at the keeper. The deflection kindly fell on him. Yeah, I think he's a bit of an X factor actually. Like depending on how he does, and typically the Champions League version of Rodrigo is better than the league one, but I think how he plays because he's often the X factor for me because he'll have a little bit more space to operate with than Vinny will. But it'll be interesting to see how he's deployed. If he'll overload the left side, if it'll be more symmetrical, I'm not entirely sure what will happen there. But certainly, like him stepping up his game and how he does with Vinny, kind of just with the gravity he has. If he can find Rodrigo, who's roaming a little bit and he has free space, he's an X factor for me.
He's the X factor in the first hour. And I'd say if he doesn't play well, we always have Brahim and Hozlu. But if Rodrigo's on, we can go up 1-2-0 early and just kind of end the game. I agree there.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Thank you for tuning in. So we'll see you tomorrow, 1 hour before the game. Lucas is going to fire up his laptop, press row. We're going to talk about starting lineups, pregame thoughts, all that. And of course, we'll be back at the final whistle for hopefully is a celebration. So we'll see you tomorrow, guys. Big day. Lots of coverage on managingmadrid.com. There is a lot of coverage right now. There will be more coverage tonight. So keep it locked. Hit refresh like your life depended on it. And we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Peace out.